All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Thanks for coming to part 2 of Renewed Hope, bringing the love of Christ to your community. Hopefully, if you were a part of the class in part 1, glad that you stayed. If we've added some new people, welcome. We'll just quickly introduce ourselves for those that, where'd the clicker go? Lost the clicker, sorry.
Oh, here.
Oh,
you're too tall.
I'm just too tall. Not the first time I've said that. But my name is Sam. I'm here with Jillian and Megan. Not Megan. Apparently I said that. Megan in the first one. But we're excited to be able to kind of run a little bit more of a workshop discussion time. If you were with us for part 1, we talked and went over some characteristics of Jesus that we connect with and that we see Jesus love people through. And so the first one that Jillian talked about was empowerment. How do we help to support and give people the opportunity to help themselves, that we just aren't giving entirely to them, but we also give them the opportunity and give them the resources to be able to help themselves. Then Megan talked about hospitality, how Jesus brought people to him. He touched them. He was personal. He was inviting. And then I shared about compassion, how Jesus' action wasn't motivated from any sense of obligation, but it was coming from how he saw people, how he shared in their pain, and that is what led them to action. So hopefully we're going to be able to apply some of the things that we talked about in the first portion to the second portion. How this is going to go is we're going to present 3 different scenarios and hopefully hit at 3 different stages that you may be at as someone that's coming to this class. So our first scenario, we'll talk about, how do we love our neighbor? How do we love people that we see every day? How do we love people that we interact with on a daily basis? The second thing will be, how do we serve within our community or within our church with our local chapter? What does it look like to maybe start a local chapter? What does it look like to get involved? And then the last one will be, how do we create partnerships within our community with other organizations that may not be connected to Hope or connected to our family of churches? How do we build a partnership? How do we work together? What are some conversations that we can have? So we'll start with scenario 1. This is serving and loving your neighbor. We'll just give a quick blurb to maybe get your thoughts going. But imagine you begin taking a new route to work and you notice the same individual asking pedestrians for spare change. As the days go by, you feel a desire to take some kind of action, but are unsure of exactly how you should go about this. Some questions to think about in terms with your group. How can you see them in the same way that Jesus would have? Going back to the previous portion, how can you have the same eyes that Jesus had? And what does sustainable support look like in this situation? How can you provide support while still empowering them? So how, again, this is going to work. We're going to take 10 minutes for you guys to be able to discuss, come up with some ideas, try and be practical, things that you can actually take with you. We'll have some time for discussion, a little bit of time sharing, and then we'll move on to the next scenario. So we'll have 10 minutes. Go ahead and turn to the people that you're with, and we'll have some time of discussion. Asking questions. We wanted to take a few minutes to open it up to the group. If any of the smaller groups wanted to share anything or had a question or maybe came up with a great idea or had a great thought and wanted to add anything, this really is more of a workshop experience, so feel free to raise your hand. Yeah, go ahead.
So, with the prompt, at least in this case, since the guy's always consistently there, one of the things that we could do is leave work early. Mm-hmm. That way we can actually spend time talking with the person at the side of the road, build a friendship, see what they need.
Yeah.
Like if they're looking for not money but food, we can always prepare meals ahead of time, and then when we head out for work,
I love that.
I'll help give them something so he can be able to make it through the day.
I love that. And if you didn't hear what he shared, I'm sorry, what was your name? John. Yeah, feel free when you share to go ahead and introduce yourself or stand up. We have a mic as well, so we'll run the mic. But what John shared of doing what you can to build a relationship with a person. If it looks like leaving a little bit early or asking questions about their life, getting their name, taking the time for them to really feel and know that you see them as a human and as a person, as someone worthy of getting to know. I think that's really great stuff, John.
With this question.
Yeah, that's great. A couple of common threads I see in all of those is the relationship, right? Asking questions, getting to know them, knowing their story, knowing their name, knowing what they may need. And then in terms of sustainability, I love what Stefano shared about the resources, knowing what are some resources that other organizations may have in the area that you can help point them to, but not just handing them a business card of it and leaving, but like really providing the support to walk them through that process as well. For this scenario, I think about like how would we just love our friend? We would love them through a relationship and knowing them. Similarly, for someone that's in this scenario, they're on the side of a walkway. They're a person too, and they feel loved through relationship as well, and we can offer that to people. So.
Okay, the next scenario we're going to talk about is involvement in a chapter. So you move to a new city for a new job that you've taken, and you're unfamiliar with the church and the community. You were involved in Hope Service projects in your last church, and you want to be a support in your new community. You find out that the chapter is not very active. So you all can discuss how would you go about rebooting a chapter in a new place, and then you can write it out or talk through a general plan of steps that you would take that would be needed. So we'll give you guys 10 minutes to go through this. Reflection together. So does anyone want to share some ideas, questions, thoughts that you had? Yeah, John.
Well, one of the big things that I would want to know is exactly why the Hope chapter actually fizzled out. Just trying to figure out if it was a problem of manpower, a problem of passion, a problem of people moving out. Exactly, try to diagnose what the problem is, because if it's a problem with not enough people, then you might have to reach out to leadership, maybe see if you can't get somebody that can help. Try to encourage leadership to encourage people to engage more with Hope.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you don't want to do it alone because you're just going to burn out. So being able to find the people to support you, that's great. Start where I started was the Hope website. There's a toolkit that goes step by step and how to start a chapter, how to engage, and then Hope actually has staff members that are Hope concierges that specifically help chapter directors because we can't know all of the information, and so they help guide you through the conversations to have the people to talk with, and so that's really helpful too.
Awesome. And so we're going to go on to our next and final scenario. And so this is about partnering with community organizations, because a big thing and something that's really important to us here at Hope is that we aren't just going and making new programs when there are things that already exist that there are organizations already doing amazing work and meeting those needs in the communities that we're in. And so a lot of us may be in the working world and different things like that and have relationships with community organizations in our community. And so say that someone in your congregation or yourself is familiar with a local community organization through their or your personal volunteering life, and you find that this organization aligns well with the values of your Hope chapter and might be a great opportunity to partner. What is your approach to engaging with and vetting this organization, and how would you communicate with your Hope chapter to initiate this potential relationship? And so again, this is a discussion about how to bring up potential partnerships with organizations that are already doing amazing work in your communities. And so we'll go ahead and take 10 minutes to talk about those ideas, and then we'll come back. I love that. So she mentioned being personally involved in that organization and seeing the work that they're doing, to being a part of that, and then from that organic and natural experience and relationship, being able to see how they can partner. And a really important thing you mentioned was, are they even looking for another partner, which again goes back to not making assumptions, and then also knowing what the strengths of your Hope chapter are, because you may or may not be able to meet a need in that way. Yeah. Yes, that's what we want to hear from you guys. Yeah, that's amazing. And it is important to know what the organization is doing. I know something actually that I thought was pretty cool was a community partner that we had kind of started working with. We kind of started introducing ideas from Hope about dignity and respect, and they were very receptive. So actually we were then able to influence them to think differently about the way they served. And so even knowing that through that partnership, like we're learning from them about the needs of the community, but also you can then influence other organizations with the things that your Hope chapter might be doing. And as Hope is evolving and learning and growing, that was a really cool experience that we had with the partnership. Anyone else? Other ideas? Yeah. Yes, very important to know the organization because you want to make sure that it is, again, aligned and reliable. And so also important to know what your values are as a Hope chapter, which typically align with Hope Worldwide as an organization, and what your strengths are, and then to also investigate those as well and make sure that it would be a balanced and aligned relationship and is a dependable organization. So I'm going to pass it off now to Sam to talk about action planning.
Yeah, so we're going to just take 10 more minutes here to kind of wrap everything up that we've talked about across the first class, as well as these 3 different scenarios. Give you guys a chance to think about what you guys are going to do when you go home. Once this class ends, once you go back to wherever you came from, how are you going to bring the love of Christ to your community? And even just establishing some of the takeaways from the scenarios, listening to what you guys shared. From scenario 1, I think don't be afraid to build a relationship. Love them through a relationship. Love them in the same way that you would love a friend. For the second one, I think is be curious and ask questions about the needs of your church in the Hope chapter and maybe the history that's been there, and take advantage of resources that are already there for you. Like Megan mentioned, the toolkit, maybe past experiences that people have had. And then for the partnerships and the vetting, another opportunity to be curious, to learn about the organization, to know the organization's needs, and be able to hopefully build a relationship and hopefully a fruitful partnership in your guys' community. And as you heard, I said curious there many times in all of those scenarios. I think one great takeaway across all 3 is to just be curious. Be curious about people, be curious about their experiences, be curious about what's gone on in your church, and be curious about other organizations in the community. I think it will find so many opportunities and so many needs will be discovered when we're curious. And so let's go ahead and take 10 minutes to go through these 4 things. What's one key takeaway you've had? What's one person you want to speak with or meet with? What's a 3-month action step to take? And what is a 6-month action step to take? So we'll take about 7 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap up with some Hope announcements. So thank you guys.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We have a couple more minutes left of our class. So I just wanted to share real quick. I know a lot of you have been on a volunteer corps, but some of you are new to Hope, new to the church. And so I just wanted to share a little bit. Yesterday, Jillian shared at the Singles General session about her Singles Corps. And so I just wanted to share about volunteer corps in general. For me, I've been involved with Hope since I was 16, and it definitely changed my life, my relationship with God, and I've been able to go to many different places. But it's an opportunity that helps us to inspire the heart of serving, inspire the heart of Jesus in other places that are not home, but then to be able to bring it back home to our own communities. And so it's a way that we can go and we can support a local Hope organization that is it's in a community that's directly affected by poverty, and but it is run by locals. So we're just there to go help and support and to learn and to serve. And so I think for me, one of the biggest things that I've learned is how to serve with dignity and respect. That we're not there to go save poor people. We're there to see our poverty, whether it's materially, spiritually. And I think every trip I come out learning so much more from the people that I'm around than I could even have taught them. And also just learning about other cultures, other worldviews, and building relationships has helped me in so many other areas of my life as well. And so, if you guys are interested in going on a volunteer corps, singles corps, you can go to the Hope website. There are a couple upcoming singles corps. I know we mentioned in the last class, but I'm going to let you guys know. So there's one in Hawaii in September, in Johannesburg in October, and in New Orleans in November. So you can go and you can apply. You probably start fundraising now. And then there's also a fairly new opportunity called a service corps. So it's a long-term opportunity, a couple months, and it's where you can go and use your professional or educational skills to build up capacity in a Hope chapter in an organization and support that long-term and then come back home. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask us afterwards, or you can check out the Hope website.
Awesome. Yes, definitely a huge fan. We all are of the volunteer corps. And so if you ever want to hear anything more, you can feel free to chat us up. But also I wanted to come up and share a little bit about local service, because we have the volunteer corps, but Hope is amazing at mobilizing volunteers. And as mentioned last night, one of their big goals is that every member is engaged in transforming service. And so how many people here have a local Hope chapter that they're aware of? Great, awesome. So most of us. And so if you're not already involved with your local Hope chapter but have been looking for ways to serve more in your community, please reach out to your Hope chapter. They will be thoroughly encouraged to hear from you and your interest. And so that could mean, volunteering with them at the volunteer opportunities they offer, or maybe even you want to do something more long-term, like consider serving on your Hope committee or advisory board. I think something that's cool as a single person is, I know people are always like, oh, singles have a lot of time, and we're like, do we though? But I do feel truly that, at least in my experience, I do have a capacity of heart to be able to give in these different ways. And for me, my passion is community service. And so if that's something that you relate to, don't be shy from getting involved in your local community. And then also community partnerships. I know a lot of my peers, like people that I work with, love serving their community and have different organizations. One of my coworkers actually, I just started going to this thing her and her boyfriend do in East LA, which is called the Burrito Project. And a group of people just get together and make burritos. Like, find out about things going on in your community, go and serve, and then you might find ways to even get more of your fellow disciples serving. Because again, it's not ultimately just about hope, but that we are the hands and feet of Jesus in our communities, loving our neighbors and giving our hearts and being present and serving. And so just want to share that. These are some pictures from our Hope chapter and some cool things we've been able to do over the last couple years. Well, we were very grateful to have each of you here, and we hope that you were able to take away from this conversation. One thing that was really important to us when we were thinking about this class was like knowing that so many of you here are serving in your communities and doing things. So having the opportunity to hear from you guys, because you know Jesus, you love Jesus, and you love people. And so the ideas and everything you all shared were spot on. And so hopefully everyone got to take away something from this. So thanks so much for being here.